The Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzimande, today announced that the National Students Financial Aid Scheme, also known as NSFAS, would continue to support students previously registered with the scheme who meet the necessary requirements, but added that due to the scheme's funding shortfall, prospective 2021 university students looking for assistance from the scheme would have to wait to get clarity on the funding issue. The Cabinet is scheduled to make a call on higher education funding this week before the Higher Education Ministry is in a position to clearly articulate what's what for prospective students this year. Well, to elaborate on the Minister's earlier announcement, I'm joined by Buthi Manamela. He's the Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Manamela. So this is a very tricky time for those students who deserve support. On the one hand, it's great that university registration has been extended by a further 2 weeks, but then on the other hand, there's all this uncertainty about whether or not deserving students will actually get the necessary financial support. Are you confident that later this week, Cabinet will indeed come to the party?
Well, I think that's, thank you very much, Nombo, for having us here, and also to viewers. I think that's a call that Cabinet will have to make, and for the Minister to make the announcement on Thursday. What we've been doing since the announcement made by the Minister of Finance in his budget speech, who committed that Treasury will be working together with our department to make sure that we find the necessary resources for all qualifying and deserving students to be registered. We've been working to ensure that we readjust budgets, reallocate budgets, try and find resources elsewhere, and also consulting with a whole range of stakeholders. And part of those consultations will be continuing. And all of that will then be presented on Wednesday to Cabinet for Cabinet to take a final decision. But we, as I said, are quite confident from the statement made by the Minister of Finance and some of the work that we've been doing over the last few days, to make sure that all the students who are qualifying do ultimately register. It's quite unfortunate that there is this uncertainty, which has not been brought about by anybody, but because of the huge pressure that has been on the national fiscus, because of the different financial cuts that different departments had to make, including our departments, but also because we had to extend the academic year 2020 to cater for, extended allowances for accommodation, for travel, and also to include some of the grants that had gone to, institutions. So all of those financial considerations have put a lot of pressure on us, on the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, but we are working hard. And I really want to say to parents and students, in emphasis of what the Minister said this morning, that we are working around the clock to make sure that each and every one of them are ultimately admitted in the universities as, per their expectations this year.
It is a worry, though, that your department is only now having those discussions with National Treasury about the broader support story to students, because that's only going to be tabled in the midterm budget, which is all the way in October. So one can only interpret that indeed some learners who are deserving will indeed get left behind as a result.
Well, the discussions haven't only started now, by the way. We have been making, submissions and engagements to National Treasury in the pre-budget process, and which is what led to, the statement made by the Minister of Finance. But also, the budget cuts only happened, last year in the medium-term budget statements. And as a result of those, we could also not have anticipated the almost double number of new applications that have gone, to the National Student Financial Aid Scheme by qualifying students. So all of those things have to be taken into consideration. But as I said, that, the discussions that we're involved in currently, are at an extremely advanced stage. And I think think we are confident that we have to, get some positive response from, from Cabinet, and are quite hopeful that every deserving student will get an opportunity to study at a university or TVET college of their choice come the commencement of the academic year 2021. What I must also emphasize is the fact that all the continuing students, meaning that students who are already in the system, that all those students will be allowed to register at the universities where they've been registering, and that matter has been settled, and that we wish them all the best for the academic year 2029. So what is left now is for new students, so that we find clarification, and for the minister to make an announcement on Thursday.
Just in terms of the pandemic, which can still potentially flare up again with a third wave, do you think the higher education sector, with the experience that it has from last year, will be better equipped to ensure limited disruptions to higher education, including the necessary support to those students who don't necessarily have things like equipment and data to be able to study remotely?
Yes, most definitely. I think we've learned our lessons in the academic year 2020. We had to learn how to lend whilst fixing, this plane onto the pandemic. We have introduced multimodal forms of learning, meaning that there were students who were allowed back on campus depending on the programs that they were studying. There were students who were given remote support. Some were sent their textbooks. Some were, procured laptops. We entered into agreements with telecom companies to provide data at a reasonable stage. Those discussions are also continuing into the new academic year to help support each and every university and TVET college for them to be able to support students. So we have learned our lessons. Of course, we do not know what curveball the pandemic can throw to us, but as far as from the lessons that we've learned, from what we've seen last year, from some of the adjustments that we're to make, we believe that most, if not all, the universities and TVET colleges are better equipped and better prepared to be able to respond to the pandemic. Most importantly, was our commitment that no student will be left behind. And we think that we've fared fairly well in terms of ensuring that we cover all the students in terms of the academic year 2020, and therefore will not, have any major mishaps, particularly because at least this year we are much more ready, better prepared. Most of our institutions are well equipped, and they understand the kind of challenges that we may be confronted with, and they have, we believe, mobilized all the resources that are required for us to have a smooth 2021 academic year, COVID or no COVID.
A little bit of a short-left question in terms of the trends that you're seeing with application to universities. We know that university is not the only conduit for people to progress, but it seems as though our youngsters are very keen to just apply to universities and not so much TVET colleges. And yet we understand that actually the future lies in us having more practical skills. What are your thoughts about that? And do you think the department could do more to encourage youngsters to rather go down the college route so that a job is more imminent than when you get a university degree and you sit at home waiting for an opportunity?
Well, we're proud of what has happened over the last 5 to 7 years. I mean, the TVET college sector has grown in leaps and bounds. We've moved from just close to 200,000 students in TVET colleges. We are confident that we are going to meet our national development plans targets, and that the sector is growing. I really want to appeal to both students and parents of students who are doing grade 12 for this year, that they need to closely look at all of our TVET colleges, the kind of programs that they offer, and whether those programs will not be suitable for the kind of qualifications that they and professions that they may want to proceed, particularly if the young person or the student want to ultimately become an artisan, and not only those who are in grade 12, even the kids who are in their grade 10, who have passed their grade 10, are eligible to apply to their TVET colleges. But what's even better, that beyond completing and having a diploma, you can actually transit to a university or University of Technology to go and further your studies there, either studying your degree or your postgraduate studies. So we've done a lot to transform the TVET college sector. We've had a lot of private sector investment. We've seen the uplifting of infrastructure of most of our TVET colleges. We have seen the quality of lecturing staff in our TVET colleges improving. We've also seen the results coming from TVET colleges also improving. We are now at an average of 20,000 artisans per annum, meaning that the throughput and success rate, at least towards more artisans, is quite improving. So I really want to implore parents and also students and also schools, teachers out there, please expose our children to the potential and possibilities that lies in our TVET colleges. I'm proud that I'm one of those students who studied at a TVET college, and I must say that even at the time when I was studying at a TVET college, we were beginning to see some progress, and compared to at the time when I went into a TVET college, the situation is much, much better at TVET colleges, and really consider studying at our TVET colleges.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for that. That's the Deputy Minister of Education, Buthi Manamela. We're going to say